For our FinTech Spotlight segment this month, we are featuring our sponsor, Roofstock, a company that makes investing in single-family rental properties radically simple. I've invited the Director of Retail at Roofstock, Zach Evanish, to tell us a little bit more about this online real estate marketplace and how it's helping new and seasoned investors build wealth. We're also going to discuss long-distance real estate investing and why it's not as scary as it sounds. Welcome to the show, Zach.
Thanks, Andy. Happy to be here.
Zach, so what makes single-family homes a good investment for people?
Yeah, single family is, kind of the general entry point for a lot of real estate investors. The average sales price on Roofstock is about $120,000. So investors can put as little as 20% down, so they can get started with real estate investing and all the advantages of, passive income and having a tenant pay your mortgage, things like that with, as little as 20 or 25,000.
That's great. So that seems to be a good entry point for people. Maybe they've, paid off their debt or they're starting to invest into their, retirement funds, and they're also looking for, well, what can I do to get a little bit of passive income today, right? Are those some of the conversations you're having with prospective customers?
Yeah, my team and I are speaking with, like you mentioned, both first-time and seasoned investors all day. And the conversations I enjoy the most are with, first-time investors, people who are thinking about diversification and starting to think about retirement planning, passive income, cash flow, things like that. And that's where, really Roofstock can help. And in real estate, there's really nothing like it when it comes to the passive income and cash flow aspects.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. I'm a first-time real estate investor myself. I've been on the sidelines kind of pooling up my money, and I'm excited about jumping in, right? But a lot of the things that hold me back are like, well, this is what you're supposed to do, or no, you definitely need to start with multifamily first because that's the best thing to do. Why would single-family homes maybe be better than multifamily to start out with?
Yeah, I think just to start, there's almost a big industry, real estate education, right? Which I think some of it is great, but some of it seems like it's set up to make real estate investing seem much harder than it is. I think 20 or so years ago, I know my parents thought about real estate investing and didn't do it because they were concerned about tenants, toilets, and trash. And my dad saying, well, I'm not great at rehabbing things. How are we going to buy an investment property? To today in companies like Roofstock and more sophisticated property managers and really solid general contractors who can handle all that for you now allows people to do it, get all the benefits of real estate investing, but do it while they have a full-time job. I think single family again is a way to get started with real estate investing, to see if it is something that you like. And then a lot of people will start with single family and then get into small multifamily. Some of the benefits of single family are you have multiple exit strategies, right? You can own a rental property for say 10 or 20 years, and then when you want to sell it, you can maybe sell it to another investor, or you could sell it to someone who wants to buy that property as a owner occupied residence. And so those multiple exit strategies are one of the advantages of single family over multifamily.
Well, that makes sense. So it sounds like you have some experience personally with real estate as well. So do you own rental real estate right now?
I do, yeah. My wife and I have 11 single family rentals, a duplex, and then we have some ownership stake in some multifamily.
Awesome. So did you scale in that way you sort of talked about? You started maybe with a single family and then grew from there?
I did.
Okay, cool. And where are these properties that you have? Where are they located?
In Georgia, so Atlanta, Georgia, and then both coasts of Florida, so Cape Coral and Palm Bay, Florida, and then Cleveland and Cincinnati.
Okay, well, I take it from just the general geography of things, you don't live in all three of those areas. So how do you manage your properties living across the country?
Yeah, to be honest, I've only seen 2 of the 11 myself. The Atlanta properties, I've only seen 2 of them. Yeah, I leverage third-party property managers to handle the day-to-day maintenance for me. They do take, between 6 and 10% of the rent, but I see that as kind of the cost of being a real estate investor, and the value they add to me is way above that, and they allow me to do what I think I'm best at is finding other investment properties to purchase, but also, I have a full-time job, just had my first child, She just turned 11 weeks last Saturday, so
Congratulations. That's
I'd
awesome.
way rather, spend time with her than worrying about tenants and things like that.
Well, that's cool. So, how did you connect then with the property managers to help you manage all those? Because the way you're describing it makes it sounds, obviously you got to come up with the money and do some research, but it sounds pretty seamless.
Yeah, so I purchased all those properties through Roofstock. As an employee, there's some rules around buying properties. We have to wait 7 days for the property to be on our site, but these are properties I all purchased through Roofstock. And when you purchase a property through our site, we provide three different property management options. We'll provide the current property manager and then two certified property managers. So we have a director of property management, and before we open a market, he'll go into that market and interview 10 or 20 property managers, talk to them about how many homes they manage, look at their reviews, how do they handle tenant calls, collections, things like that, and provide, two what we feel are really good options for investors. Because most of our investors, on average, are buying properties. I think the last time I looked at the stat, it's between 800 to 900 miles away from their primary residence.
Wow, so that's a part of the process with Roofstock. Not only are you guys setting up the homes that are available for purchase, you're connecting them with the property managers as well.
Correct. Yeah, it's a big part of it.
Wow, absolutely. I mean, that would take away a lot of the friction that I'm personally feeling as somebody who wants to jump into real estate. I'm like, okay, well, I don't have the time. I'm also a young father. I want to take care of my kids and and focus on my marriage. The last thing I want to be doing, like your father said, is worried about toilets and trash and tenants and things like that. So I see how that works. So let's talk about how these properties end up on the Roofstock platform. How are you guys coming across these? Are you dealing directly with the sellers? How does that work?
Yeah, so the listings that you come onto our site come through a variety of sources. One, relationships with big funds that own, say, thousands of single-family homes. Maybe they're getting out of Jacksonville and putting their funds to Atlanta, so maybe they'll be selling homes. But also with a lot of mom and pop and individual sellers, some accidental landlords, some real estate investors who have just bought homes and are now ready to sell. So if you have a property you're looking to sell, you go on Roofstock, you submit that address. We will then run a valuation for you to give you an idea of the price of that property. If that looks in line, you'll sign a listing agreement with Roofstock. We only charge 2.5% compared to the general 5 or 6% people generally pay in the open market. And we ask sellers to price their homes a little more aggressively and kind of pass that savings on to the end buyer. And then once that property is listed with the Roofstock, that's where the certification process comes. Roofstock is really a curated marketplace, so we will have the home inspected, make sure there's no major foundation issues, termites, nothing that would make the property, uninhabitable or kind of major issues. And then we put the inspection report on the site for investors to review. We review the tenant payment history to make sure that tenant is current on their rent. We run a title report to make sure there's no major encumbrances or liens on title. And then we provide a certified property manager. And generally right now, about only 30% of the properties that are submitted to our site actually make it onto our platform.
Wow. So you guys are doing a lot of the upfront work that maybe a real estate agent would do in order to guide you in the right process. Get the inspection, make sure, you're going to get good money off of it, things like that. Is that right? Is that right?
It's exactly right. People are buying properties thousands of miles away, and these aren't all professional real estate investors. So we want to do a lot of that diligence up front. Obviously, you still need to review all that yourself, but we want to kind of reduce the size of the ocean so you can go on our site and say, okay, these are vetted investment properties, and invest in, with confidence through our site.
Wow. I mean, this sounds like just kind of a perfect situation. Is there anybody that maybe this wouldn't fit for? I mean, does this have to be for accredited investors? Talk to us about maybe the person that wouldn't fit for this situation.
Yeah, I think one, people need to make sure that they do have the amount of funds saved up, not only for that initial down payment, but also have reserves for repair and maintenance, capital expenses, things like that. If you have $20,000 saved up, we don't want you to spend that $20,000 on your down payment. because that's the time where a roof will, cave in or something will happen, and then you're going to credit cards and things like that. And we want to help people get closer to financial independence and not have to go into, things like that for debt. So we want to make sure you are really in a good financial position, have other kind of student debt and things like that paid off before you start investing in real estate. And then I think, one of the big, kind of leaps people are making is buying properties outside of their local market. So, we have a team of advisors that I manage. We're very transparent on our reviews and have investors speak with other people, because we do understand it's an expensive widget. You're doing it online. So we want to make sure people really do their diligence.
Yeah, and I've looked at your platform, and the great thing about it, you learn all these rules as you're starting to study real estate, like the 1% rule or the 50% rule or cap rate. You guys have a lot of that on there already, right? So, I mean, with regard to your point on expenses and things to expect, you're showing people, hey, you might be pulling in $12,000 a year on this rental property, but expect to pay this in taxes, expect to pay this in insurance, expect to, fix up the home, and this is a potential cost for it. Is that right?
Yeah, we've included all that in the underwriting, and accurate underwriting is one of the big pillars of Roofstock. One of our goals is so you can come on the site and see, really accurate underwriting, not kind of best picture, rosy underwriting, but we want to show you, hey, if you own this property for 10 years, you probably will have to replace a water heater and air conditioning, things like that over the history. And so we make sure to include that in the expenses.
Sure. Now, if people still would feel like, I probably still want a real estate agent to kind of walk me through this and make sure I'm doing the right thing, do you think that's worth it? Do you think that's just extra money added on top? What do you think?
Yeah, I think if someone, would like, say maybe they have a real estate agent they used before, or just like that, kind of second opinion, they can definitely use a real estate agent through our marketplace. We have a special section for real estate agents. Most buyers are coming on without an agent and investing themselves because, like you said, we've already done all that diligence and have, a lot of transparency on all the information. We also offer a rent guarantee if the property is vacant or goes vacant during escrow. And then we also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee.
That's awesome. So, it sounds like you're getting a lot of value out of this. What does Roofstock cost? Is it a membership fee, a monthly thing? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's free to register on our site, and it's transactional. So if you buy a property on our site as a buyer, we charge 0.5%. So if you buy a $120,000 home, we would charge a 0.5% or a $600 fee. That is placed on your credit card when the offer is accepted. If for some reason you didn't move forward with that property and exercise the contingency, those funds are obviously given back to you. Our goal isn't to collect marketplace fees. We want to help investors purchase properties. And then we also have a Roofstock Academy. So for investors, this is about 6 months old, and it's an education for investors. We had a lot of people who were really interested in real estate investing, but came onto our site and saw things like cap rate and 1% rule and said, I want to dig in a little bit more here. And so we built an education program called Roofstock Academy. I think it's $1,500 right now, but that's actually credited back if you buy a property.
Oh, wow.
And right around 30% of the graduates that make it through that program are buying a property.
That's excellent. So what has been the growth of the company since you started? I understand you were one of the original guys that kind of jumped on board.
Yeah.
What's been the trajectory of the company since you joined in?
Yeah, I joined as the third employee. I used to work with our CEO at a previous company, a real estate investment fund. We don't share our numbers in terms of growth as a private company, but I can tell you we are almost at $2 billion in transactions through our marketplace.
Wow, that's incredible. And then the amount of employees, you said you started with 3. Are you guys, you got multiple offices now, or multiple people in the office besides you, obviously?
Yeah, we have 2 offices now. So we have our Oakland office, which I'm in right now, and then we have an office in Dallas, and we're at about 180 employees right now.
Wow, so from 3 employees to 180. So obviously, people, this is not a small startup. Things are going. Things are making sense. Obviously, this as somebody who's been investigating potentially buying a property for, it's probably been 2 years now, and just saving up our money and finding out the right way to go, it seems like a really great solution to kind of break down the barriers of, is this a good deal? Is this something that is going to be a lemon right away, or am I going to be making money? And also kind of hooking you up with the right people to solve any of the problems that kind of originally say, hey, this is going to be all about fixing toilets, right? So I'm really happy to connect with you, Zach. Thank you so much for your time today. Hey, everybody, if you are interested in checking out Roofstock, go to marriagekidsandmoney.com/roofstock. That's marriagekidsandmoney.com/roofstock. That link will help you get connected with Zach and Roofstock. And as he said, there's some great resources on there for you to learn more about the company, and also maybe check out that academy. So if people go to that link, they can connect with the academy, and then you said it's $1,500 if they want to go through that process, but then if they decide to buy a property, that goes back. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Zach, thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to sharing this with everybody because I'm personally interested myself. I'm going to talk to my wife about it, but I think for a lot of people who've been listening to my show, they're also kind of like, hey, I'm thinking of getting my first rental property, and maybe this is the way to do it. So I appreciate your time today, Zach. Thanks so much.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Andy. Appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your day.